Did you know there's a place in the desert that has 2 square miles of rock graffiti that is decades old and can be seen from outer space? What if I told you that just 100 miles away there is more desert graffiti that is over 1,000 years old and some believe was a way to communicate with aliens? Are you intrigued? On this adventure, I'm going to investigate these 2 interesting locations and take you along as I explore some incredible remote places in between, stumble upon one of the most amazing campsites I've stayed at in a very long time, and I surprised myself by cooking up something for dinner that was, well, actually pretty good. Stay tuned.
I think it's safe to say that this is probably one of the most unique places I've ever visited in the desert. This is something that I found on Google Earth, and I'll tell you more about it here in a moment. But right now I am in the southeast corner of California, and over the next couple days I want to go explore an area of the desert heading all the way north, finding some cool history, some unique finds, some geoglyphs kind of like this, but maybe some more ancient ones that are like over 1,000 years old, and just see what we find. I've done a lot of research and I think there's a whole lot of cool stuff to see out here. All we got to do is aim for those mountains and head north. But I want to spend a little bit of time checking this place out first. This is weird.
Welcome to the Valley of Names, a unique and remote expanse nestled in the southeast reaches of the California Sonoran Desert. This remote area requires a 4-wheel drive vehicle and a bit of determination to access it, but it reveals a captivating landscape of rock graffiti, or what I'm calling is modern-day geoglyphs. Now, about how this all got started is said to begin with General Patton's soldiers marking the land during their harsh desert training out here during World War II, and over time others have added to it. There is no actual evidence verifying that Army soldiers started this, but with how much time they spent out here during their training, it's a very likely theory. Today, this has become a canvas of personal legacies with hundreds of names and messages written across the landscape. Most of the dark stones were collected from the surrounding areas over the years, and their dark contrast and the size of these modern-day geoglyphs is what makes them visible from the satellites up in space. Now, this area is managed by the Bureau of Land Management, and they say that visitors are invited to witness the outdoor gallery, but urged to adhere to strict guidelines. The leave no trace principle is paramount here. Every visitor is a steward, ensuring the preservation of the delicate desert environment and its inhabitants. Bringing or removing rocks is prohibited to prevent ecological disruption. As you navigate through this historical and man-made marvel, be mindful of the legacy you walk amongst. Here, every stone tells a story, a personal mark left by someone who ventured into this harsh yet beautiful wilderness. The Valley of Names is more than a collection of just names. It's a mosaic of those that have visited here. If you decide to visit and leave your footprints beside countless others, remember the ethos of this place. Take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints, and preserve the stories for generations to come. This was a unique find, but now I need to begin heading north.
You gotta admit, it's pretty fascinating. I mean, the fact that I found this from a satellite image tells you just how massive this modern day geoglyphic art is. And look, some of this stuff is old. I mean, I think the oldest one I've seen so far was 82, so we're over 40 years old. That's pretty crazy. You can spend a lot of time walking around here and checking this out, but I got a lot of places to take you guys, and it's already early afternoon, so I want to try to hit this one more spot, which is going to be really cool, I think, and then we got to start looking for camp. I'm glad I stopped here to check this out. This is pretty unique. It's a check in the box. I could say I've been here.
My plan over the next couple days is to head north and follow along the Southern California backcountry discovery route, although I am going to make several detours along the way. This is an area of the Sonoran Desert I've never explored, so I don't really know exactly how the terrain will be or what the scenery is like. I'm going in with open mind and a little bit of excitement. All right, I've got about 25 miles to go to check out the next point of interest that I have marked on this trip.
I'll tell you what, this is a stark contrast to where I was at last week. The desert I was in last week was just super lush. Out here, it is so barren. There's just a hint of vegetation around. It's like being on a different planet, especially with the jagged cliffs and mountains off in the distance. It's pretty cool. All right, the sun going down early in wintertime just really messes with my time and distance. I didn't really account how long it was going to take me just to get here, and I've still got a few miles to go. I want to go check out a jail, that's right, a jail, and an upper and a lower stamp mill from when they were mining gold out here. The problem is, I got to get there and do a little hike before the sun goes down, so we'll see how this goes. I'll try it. I'm hauling.
Back in the mid-1800s, gold was discovered here in these hills, and the Picacho mines began producing large amounts of gold. While the mine is still active today and fenced off, there are still some ruins from the era that you can visit. First though, I have to pay a few dollars in the envelope, and I will say now it was worth every penny I put in here.
All right. I think we got plenty of daylight left, and it's just a short hike. I think it's like about 3/4 of a mile, so we should be fine to go check it out. I'm excited. I can kind of smell the water. It's definitely a different smell that I've been smelling all day, and I'm glad we made it with daylight. The question is, where am I going to camp tonight?
This is the Picacho Stamp Mill hiking trail, and it's about 2 miles round trip, and I thought this would be a pretty easy hike. However, it was a lot more rugged than I thought, and the trail wasn't exactly marked well, so I might have made a few wrong turns.
It's a little bit of a steep climb when you come up this. I am kind of moving kind of fast. I could take it easier. But very cool, as I walked up this little ledge here, off in the distance, you can see Castle Dome rock. It's a rock that I just went all the way around last week, and that thing's got to be 50 miles away. What a view to see it from here. It's going to be hard to show on this camera, but I just tell you, with the sun setting, the golden hour happening, it's gorgeous over there. I'm just now seeing the river, and there's just evidence of mining trailing piles all over the place. First stop is a little jail that's supposed to be here. Hopefully we can find it. Just take a look at all the colors in these rocks. On the path here, you got these greens, got some reds, some purples up there, some browns, some whites, some gray. It's crazy, the geology. So many different colors, really cool. Ah, little sign right here, says jail. It's gonna be a little bit of a rugged descent, but I'm gonna go check it out. There it is. So 700 people living in this town, and you got to think that, you know, the miners, after working the mine pretty hard, want to blow off a little steam. Maybe they go have a few too many drinks, get in a fight, and then they got to spend the night in here. Ooh, I would not want to spend the night in here. But there it is. That's an old jail, guys. That's really cool. Some kind of old foundation right there. And then you got a big tank over here. And then I think just above it, yep, that's the upper stamp mill. completed in 1886. Pretty crazy. Love this stuff. This was massive. This was huge. Look at that big foundation there. All the way around over here. There's a bunch of artifacts still laying on the ground. People have let be, just sharing them.
Picacho employed 700 miners at its peak from 1895 to 1900. There would have been all kinds of buildings to support those people to live, eat, drink, all around this area. But now the land has kind of reclaimed most of it. Mill accidents, low ore quality, and a loss of cheap river transport with the building of a dam just up the river led to numerous periods of inactivity, and eventually gold mining came to an end.
Look at the size of these stones, guys. They're massive. Look how big that stone is. Huge. All the work and labor to cut those stones and then move them, mortar them in place. Crazy. I think this is it here. Yep, this is it. That's the lower stamp mill. This one's a little more intact, but it's also newer. Just again, look at the size of those rocks. Just massive walls, thick walls. And you can see there's the Colorado River, so they would process the ore and then transfer that down to boats, steamboats, from what I've read. Pretty wild. The size of this beam. Big square head nails in there. And you can see down there, that's the chute. And the ore probably go down there somewhere. Yep, there it is. You can see the chute coming off the end there. Big chunks of lumber. I'd like to walk down there and get a closer look. And there's a little trail that goes here, and imagine this sign probably once told visitors not to go down there. So I'm just going to look from up above. I love checking out old ruins, guys. It's one of my favorite things to do when I'm out exploring, off the beaten path a little bit. Of course, this is a state park, so plenty of people come here, but my understanding is this is one of the least visited parks in California. Except for this and the Colorado River, there's not much to see here. Now, it was about a 0.9 mile hike in. I did boogie it pretty quick. You can see that I'm starting to get a really nice sunset, but the sun is going down, so I need to get back to the van and then figure out camp. I did, just in case, throw 20 bucks in that envelope in case I needed to camp here tonight. I don't really want to camp here, but it might kind of be my only option because the terrain once we leave the state park is supposed to get pretty rugged. I don't know how rugged, but it's not ruggedness that I want to figure out in the dark. I'd like to do it in the morning after a cup of coffee. So I'll make a decision here in a minute. I got to go up and down a few more times, but totally worth it, guys. Totally worth it. I hope you think this is cool as I do. Whew. I needed that. Kind of pushed myself a little bit, got my heart rate up after sitting in the van all day. It was nice to kind of get a little exercise. It was a good little hike. You can take it slow or take it easy, but it's a little rugged. Now, what I really want to show you, come around this corner here, check out this sunset we're about to get. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, I made it to camp before dark. There is still technically light in the sky. I checked out the campground there. It's actually really nice, very clean, not a single person there. I would not mind staying at that campground except for the cemetery. I just didn't feel like camping right next to a cemetery. And I knew this campground was about a mile down. This is Taylor Lake. There's only like 3 spots here, but I'm here and I made it. And so I can hear frogs off in the distance. I can hear birds in the water. This is gonna be a beautiful spot. I'm up here on the top campsite, and I don't think this is gonna work just because there's no way I'm gonna get level up here. It's really, really off camber. So I think what I'm gonna do is go down to one of the lower spots, get level, and then figure out what I'm gonna do for dinner. But not a bad place to camp. I know it's a campground, but you know what? It's beautiful up here, and it's way better than staying at a KOA. Okay, camp's all set up, the van's all level. It is super calm outside, and the only sounds you hear out there are just some crickets. You hear, I think they're geese out there, and a couple frogs from time to time, but not a bad spot, guys. This is pretty nice. Okay, I'm gonna make dinner tonight, and this is kind of a throw it together kind of thing. I saw somebody make this long time ago using the Omnia, and I'm like, oh, I could probably do that. So we'll see. This is either going to work out really well or it's going to be a total disaster, but I'm going to make enchiladas in the Omnia. I think we got this. This should be easy.
Okay, here goes. Just 5 simple ingredients. I'm using pre-cooked chicken, Mexican cheese, flour tortillas, enchilada sauce, and a little salsa verde. I tore the tortillas in half and then I just started layering all the ingredients. I really didn't have a plan here, but I think it worked out. You can see it was very precise with my measurements.
Okay, I am just patiently waiting for this to bake. I have no idea how long it'll take. I'm just checking it from time to time to make sure that it's cooking. It's smelling delicious. But I mentioned there's all kinds of sounds coming from the lake. I mean, every once in a while I'll just hear a splash, lots of crickets. Now I've started hearing coyotes off in the distance, but as I was just sitting here relaxing, enjoying the stars, I heard some snorting over here, and it sounded pretty close. It kind of caught me off guard for just a moment. But there are burrows all over this place, and I imagine that it's probably a burrow. However, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll see a bighorn sheep. I doubt that'll happen, but even just to see a burrow around here would be kind of cool. Okay, hopefully not too much longer and I should be eating dinner. Oh yeah, I think this is ready. I hope so. Okay, it's hot and it smells good, so that's a good start. Let's see how this goes. Ooh. I'm starving. Heck yeah. I just made enchiladas at camp. Okay, like an enchilada casserole. All right, I'm gonna enjoy dinner. I'm gonna turn the heat on here pretty soon because it's starting to get chilly, and read my book and call it a night early, and then we're gonna get an early start tomorrow because we got a lot of cool stuff still to see. I have to say I am pleasantly surprised about how incredible this place is. You know, when you say campground, you know, sometimes it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. But I mean, it was like 35 miles on the dirt to get here, pretty remote. And to be as stark as it was, and then to get here and just to see this oasis out here, this lake with the river, the sunrise, the mountains, the colors, the birds, duck, geese. I mean, this place, wow, what a surprise. I did not expect to be staying at a place this incredible. So I have slowed down. My plan was to kind of get up in the morning, have a couple cups of coffee and roll out, and I've decided to just soak this in for a few minutes longer, maybe even an extra cup of coffee. And then we'll take you along and Got some more things to see today. Should be pretty exciting. So somebody rolled up here about 5:30 this morning and dropped a boat into the water, and I thought they might have been out here fishing, but I just heard some gunshots way off in the distance, so I imagine they're probably duck hunting out here, which is probably a great spot. Okay, before I hit the trail, just a quick couple updates on the Enterprise. A big shout out to the guys at Agile Off-Road because they did some awesome work on the van for me here recently. So if you remember, I had tore up all those side steps. In fact, I could barely get the door closed because it was so bent and out of whack. So they removed those and they installed some AMP Research side steps, which is really nice because they did a long one on the passenger side, and then on the driver's side they just installed a short one. It's a really nice setup. Plus they went underneath and they just cleaned up everything. So I've got a lot more ground clearance. I don't have a bunch of stuff just hanging down, gonna get hung up out on the trail. The other thing they did is they installed their skid plates on the front, and we did a little custom touch with powder coating them red, so that's pretty cool. And then the lights are all mounted finally and wired up. And what's really cool is Agile Off-Road has their own custom Switch Pro switch mount that goes right under the rearview mirror. So that's really cool. I'm really happy with how the van is coming along. And now I'm excited to get out on the trail and put it through its paces today. Well, I can say without a doubt this was worth the 20 bucks to stay here. Okay, the plan now is going to continue along the first part of the backcountry discovery route, and I'm going to make a couple divergence here and there, but I'm hoping there's one spot that we're going to go check out where we might be able to do a little bit of mining of our own and maybe find some treasure. And then I want to go find those really ancient geoglyphs. I don't know if they're ancient. 1,000 years? That seems ancient to me, but I don't know if that meets the definition of ancient. But I don't know. I'm really excited. I have not been to this area before, so I'm looking forward to see what the terrain is like and looking forward to seeing what else we find in it, guys. Just stopped for a moment. It said on the map, this is Donald Duck Overlook. I don't see Donald Duck, but it's definitely a beautiful view. Stopped on the side of the trail here for a moment. Saw this flag flying up here, so just walking up here to investigate. Looks like maybe an army flag flying underneath it. Big old pile of rocks. Kind of reminds me of Traveler's Monument in the Mojave Desert, although a much nicer view. I mean, come on. This has been a gorgeous drive. Let's see if there's anything here. It looks like there's something back here. What's this? Let's go check this out. So there's a little plaque, says Lonesome. Man's best friend. So it must have been, Lonesome must have been a dog that passed away. It says, looks like 1968 to 1983. And then there's a bunch of logbooks back here. 2007. Oh yeah. Looks like people have been signing this for a long time. Little dog dish down there. Pretty interesting find. Very cool. these desert mountains are super scenic, but not as scenic as along that Colorado River. Man, that was just beautiful. I did not expect to see it looking that awesome. Now, the trail, since we've left the state park, has gotten a little more rugged, definitely more washboard and some deep sandy sections. And I've got a lot of miles to put in before we're going to be turning off this, so I just kind of have to endure for now. Well, I've left those beautiful mountains and canyons for this wide open desert that has just been riddled with lava rock. I can't imagine what this was like when those volcanoes were exploding and spitting this rock for miles and miles. This is pretty crazy. I'm still on a very rough road, as you can tell by all the rattles, but I've got about 20 miles of this left. Hopefully it smooths out, and then we're gonna head north and see another cool point of interest, I hope. All right, I'm continuing to follow along on the backcountry discovery route, and we're on pavement for just a little bit. I've been on the trail for a while, and the wind started really picking up, and the clouds off in the distance started looking pretty ominous. So I pulled over, checked the weather, and sure enough, where we are going, there are thunderstorms and flash flood warnings. I don't care what vehicle you're driving, you do not want to be caught in any of that out here in the desert. It's a recipe for disaster, for getting stuck in the mud. Flash floods are not something you want to play around with. So Mother Nature has changed our plans. We were going to continue on here, make a little bit of a detour and go to what's called a massive geobed, where folks that call themselves rock hounders go out there and they find these rocks and they cut them open, and inside are these beautiful gems. And I was hoping to go out there and maybe just find one. But that's not going to happen today, so we will have to come back and do that another time. However, the next really cool point of interest we should be able to get. No flash flood warnings there. So I'm going to eat a little lunch, and we're going to go. Thank you, Mother Nature, once again. This was the right call. I remember this morning when I was looking at the weather in this area, it said like 15% chance of rain. This is a straight up downpour, and this is not the kind of rain you want to be caught in the desert, because it can just get nasty. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So this was the right call. Hopefully, where we're going, we're going to be able to get there. Hopefully the rain doesn't stop us from seeing it. Fingers crossed. Slight clearing up ahead. I've got about 1.5 miles to go. I don't know if we're going to break free of this storm or not. Almost there. Okay, we made it. It's raining, it's windy, it's cold, but we're going to go check this out. We didn't drive all the way here for nothing.
This is what's called an intaglio, and it's a specific type of geoglyph drawing created by scraping away layers of rock to reveal the lighter color soil underneath. There are actually hundreds of these around the Colorado River, but these ones in Blythe are the most famous. The largest of these is a 171-foot human figure. That's about half the size of a football field. These were known by the local tribes in the region, but in 1931, an Army Air Corps pilot by the name of George Palmer flew over and discovered these ones. However, at the time, America was in the midst of the Great Depression, so it wouldn't be until 20 years later when a team would make their way out here to investigate. When the research team did finally arrive in 1952, there was vehicle tire tracks, possibly from an Army vehicle that had run over one. So it looks like General Patton's soldiers also might have left their mark here as well. So why are these here? Well, that's the big question. There are two theories. One is that they are a form of homage or offering to the Native American god or creator. The extreme theory is that these were landmark beacons for long extinct alien cultures that would have facilitated their way back here. I don't know, guys. What do you think these are?
Well, that was pretty cool to see some ancient geoglyphs, considering we started this video with some modern ones. It is cold, it's raining, such a contrast to this morning, but totally worth coming out here, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this adventure. Please make sure you check us out over at TrailRecon.com. We got all kinds of gear over there to outfit your next adventure, and make sure you subscribe so you can come along on the next adventure. Who knows what we'll find next time. Take care, guys.